All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our BCBA practice exam series, where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please subscribe, like, and share. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. To encourage creativity in a storytelling activity, a teacher provides reinforcement only when a student shares a new story idea that hasn't been used before. If the student repeats an idea, they do not receive reinforcement. What type of schedule is the teacher using? So we have a reinforcement schedule question. And the key here is the student cannot repeat an idea. What the teacher is trying to do is get new ideas that have not been said before. This can happen a lot with our clients. If, let's say, we're teaching categories and we're asking them to name 3 items and they name the same things over and over again, if we want to encourage a difference in responses, we might use this type of schedule. What type of schedule is represented? A, differential reinforcement of high rates of behavior. Well, the teacher isn't setting a criterion and making the student go above that. She is just saying we can't repeat the same answer. B, variable interval schedule. The schedule is based on responses, so it cannot be an interval schedule. C, lag reinforcement schedule. Yes, and depending on what kind of lag schedule you use, you can have a lag 1, lag 2, lag 3, so on and so forth. And the number indicates how many different answers are required before reinforcement is given. But when we have a situation where we are requiring different responses in order to keep receiving reinforcement, we're going to call that a lag reinforcement schedule. And of course, a differential reinforcement of other behavior is reinforcement when a behavior doesn't occur, but we're not necessarily teaching any replacement. Levi is learning to say different words by watching her sister mouth each sound of the word slowly. The current word is refrigerator. What would represent point-to-point correspondence in this scenario? So we're looking for point-to-point correspondence. And when we think of verbal behavior, point-to-point correspondence and formal similarity play a big part. Formal similarity just means the form that the speaker takes, or I should say the form that the verbal behavior takes is the same. So if I say something and you say something, that's formal similarity. If I write something and you write something, that's formal similarity. The form is the same. Point-to-point correspondence says whatever is verbalized matches exactly. In other words, echoics have point-to-point correspondence. So let's look at A. If Levi wrote out the word refrigerator after her sister said fridge out loud, since these are not identical, there is no point-to-point correspondence. B, if Levi said fridge after her sister said fridge, since these are equal, this does have point-to-point. C, if Levi said refrigerator after her sister said fridge, same thing with A, not equal. D, if Levi said any part of the word correctly that her sister said out loud. We need the whole word that her sister said out loud to have point-to-point. Point-to-point means it matches exactly. So the only example here that matches exactly is going to be B. During story time, a teacher shows the pictures in the book to her student and asks each student to point to different items or animals that she names. The students are not necessarily required to speak or make any sounds themselves. What type of behavior is represented here? All right, so we're looking at behavior, the type of behavior question. Whose behavior are we looking at? Well, we're looking at the students, right? The teacher tells the students to point to different items or animals. They don't have to say anything or verbalize anything. They're just listening, right? They're following directions. So when we follow directions, what is that called? Well, that's called listener behavior or receptive instructions. They're just following directions. Expressive instructions or expressive responses and behaviors is when the students would be verbalizing something, required to say something. Here, they just have to follow directions. Reflexivity would be identical matching, and we are not identical matching in this case. And then stimulus generalization will be generalizing the same response to multiple things. Potentially happening here, unclear, not very certain given the information. The best answer, given the information, because that's what we're always trying to find, is the behavior of the students is listener behavior. You want to know if stimulus equivalence is present after a month of intervention with a client. What would be best to use to achieve this goal? Question is essentially asking, how are we going to achieve our goal? What is our goal? We want to know if stimulus equivalence is present. Well, how do we test for stimulus equivalence? Stimulus equivalence, right? A equals A equals B, which equals C. Therefore, A equals C, right? All these ideas. Now, how would you test for that? A, indirect survey assessments. Well, indirect assessments will not determine if a client can demonstrate this behavior. Indirect assessments don't directly observe behavior. B, expressive instructions. Having the client tell you something is not going to be as good of an indicator as matching to sample. Because here we're just matching to sample. Match A to A, then match A to B, match B to C, match A to C. Matching to sample is the best way to test for stimulus equivalence. Why not maintenance targets? Well, ideally, and to get true stimulus equivalence, we need behaviors to appear that weren't taught. So if they were never taught, we do not test for maintenance. Maintenance is just testing for a taught skill that still remains after teaching ends. The first thing that you or your technician should try and identify or hypothesize about a new behavior is the function. Why is it important that the function comes first? Why do we put such a big emphasis on function? What is the purpose behind that? What is the function doing for us? Because we're always emphasizing the function. A, the function is going to help determine why the behavior happens. Yes, the function is going to help us determine what is maintaining that behavior. Why is the behavior happening? What are they adding? What are they gaining? It's going to give us an idea of what is keeping that behavior around, which is going to guide the rest of our intervention. B, the function is going to provide examples of what the behavior might look like when occurring. When we talk about what a behavior might look like, we're talking about topography, not function. C, the function is going to guide us on the measurement system we choose. Well, it's not going to be about the measurement system. The goal and our objective is going to guide the measurement system. D, the function is going to let us know if we need to reinforce or punish the behavior. Not necessarily. Again, that's going to be, do we want to increase or decrease the behavior? The function is going to tell us why the behavior happens. Our goal is going to determine, do we want to increase or decrease, and how are we going to measure it? The function is going to guide us on how do we attack the behavior based on our goals. A parent models various simple actions for their child, like clapping and waving. Soon, the child begins to imitate new actions that the parent demonstrates, such as snapping fingers, even though the specific action was not previously reinforced. What is this phenomenon called? What are we looking at here? We're looking at a phenomenon, and what do we know? What phenomenon are we looking at? Well, we know the parent is modeling actions, and the child is imitating. That's great. Now, even though we have actions that have never been reinforced in the past, the child is still imitating. So the child has gone from imitating clapping and waving to imitating new actions. What do we call that when imitation starts occurring even for untrained or untargeted behavior? A, response generalization. Well, we're imitating new models each time, right? So the stimulus is changing, therefore it's not going to be response generalization. What is happening is generalized imitation. Imitation is now occurring even for unreinforced or untaught or unlearned skills. Generalized imitation is our goal. Differential reinforcement. Extinction is never mentioned, so it doesn't appear to be differential reinforcement based. And then response maintenance. Again, maintenance has to do with a skill that's been taught. Here, these have not been reinforced. They have not been taught, but they're still happening. So the phenomenon is going to be B, generalized imitation. Outside of a gender reveal party, there's a poster board with a line drawn down the middle. Each guest must either select boy or girl before walking into the party by putting a tally mark on the corresponding side. What assessment does this resemble? So let's apply this to our assessments. What is occurring here? You've got a situation, you've got a poster board. Line drawn down the middle. You've got to select boy or girl. What do you think? And you're just going to put one here or one here, one here, one here. So you're choosing between two stimuli. What assessment has us choosing between two stimuli? A single stimulus preference assessment. This is a single stimulus. A pair choice is two. This looks like a pair choice assessment. Pre-operant means we're not contriving anything. We're just observing the person engage with the environment. Here, it's very contrived. You have to pick boy or you have to pick girl. D, multiple stimulus with replacement preference assessment. This is typically going to be 3 or more, and that is not what's occurring here. It's just simply a paired choice or forced choice preference assessment. And then finally, a maid service is conducting a training to improve the consistency of how beds are made by their employees. Whenever an employee makes a bed incorrectly during training, the lead trainer shows them a video on the proper way to make the bed, and then the employee tries again. What type of prompt is used here? Now, this might not be exact, right? But we want to pick the best answer. So it's a prompting question. We know the maid service is trying to improve bed making. When the employee makes the bed wrong, they watch a video and then try again. So if they're watching the response take place and then going do it themselves, what does that most resemble? A verbal prompt. Well, they're watching this video, right? So it's going to be much more than verbal. B, gestural. Gestural are just motor movements and small gestures and movements indicating the right way. Here we are watching a movie on how to properly make the bed. C, positional. Positional is moving stimuli around. So the only acceptable answer here is going to be a model. And in order to be a model, right, we have to imitate immediately. Given our answer choices, though, it's going to be the closest type of prompt demonstrated here, because that video we're watching is acting as the model for how to make the bed. Fantastic. Thank you so much for watching. This was exam 3 of our 6th edition practice series. We're working on exam 4 and then 5. Whenever those are done, we are going to send those to you, so be on the lookout. Keep working hard, keep studying hard. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.